Okay, peeps, welcome back. So today we're going to be going over Bitcoin and how Bitcoin could be going to new all-time highs, and we'll also talk about some other stuff too. So with that being said, let's get it. Okay, so first thing I want to bring up here before we go into all the Bitcoin stuff is I just want to remind you guys that this week, okay, not next week, this week, because today is Sunday, so I believe in 2 days, if I'm not mistaken. The spot Ether ETFs will be trading, and we also have the Nashville Bitcoin conference on. I can't remember which day it is, but it's one of the days this week. I'll just say that. So Trump will be speaking at that Bitcoin Nashville conference. So do keep that in mind. Trump has already came out and said he's pro crypto. Yes, I'm aware that Biden resigned. In my opinion, that's a win for the crypto space because we all know that Biden and his staff, i.e., somebody over at the SEC who just happens to head the SEC, has been witch hunting crypto and crypto investors and crypto companies for the last 3.5 years. So in my mind, having Biden out of the White House is a win for crypto investors. So basically what I'm saying here, Bitcoin conference next week, or this week, I should say, we could see Bitcoin smash past the previous all-time high up here at 74,000. And Ethereum, we could also see Ethereum very easily go past the swing high up here at 4,000 and even well far beyond the $4,800 level on Ethereum. So we'll talk a little bit about ETH in this video, even though we usually don't do that on the Bitcoin videos, but we will talk about it a little bit. So let's get into some of the metrics here. So crypto 5-year time frame, pretty much the same thing that I've said before, which is that as you guys can see on the previous two peaks here, so I can't get it exactly for some reason, but basically the May cycle peak in 2021 and the November peak in 2021 was between a 70 to 100 on Bitcoin. As you guys can see, we're only at a 14, even when Bitcoin hit its all-time high. We only saw a 33 on Bitcoin, so that tells me one of two things. Number one, we are still early in this crypto bull run. And number two, Bitcoin likely has not hit its all-time high because, again, this was only a 33. The spot Bitcoin ETFs got approved, and they had the best trading, I believe, in the first 24 hours of trading in the history of ETFs, if I'm not mistaken, or over the course of its trading. It's been the best in the history of all ETFs ever, according to BlackRock. So, I don't know how true that is, but if it's true, it's obviously a big deal. And the fact that we only saw a 33 here is, based on that news and based on Bitcoin's all-time high, we only saw a 33 compared to these peaks over here. It tells me likely Bitcoin's all-time high has not been fully priced in yet, which means towards the end of the year, we're probably going to see a higher high for Bitcoin. I don't know exactly what it'll be. It could be 100,000. It could be 150,000. It could be 250,000. We'll just have to wait and see. So that was the crypto search term. Oh, in terms of altcoins and Ethereum, again, as you guys can see, 100 and a 70 here. And we're still at lows. So again, in my opinion, we're early. There hasn't really been a true alt season yet. Sure, meme coins have popped off, but that's going to happen. Meme coins are everybody's favorite. They're going to pop off, but we haven't really seen anything else in the space really seriously pop off besides maybe Solana. So Bitcoin, you can see the different peaks here. So January, February, and then I'm assuming this is the May peak, and then all the way over here. I'm not sure what this was. I think this was Bitcoin's resurgence after it hit 30,000 at the floor and then went back to all-time highs. If I zoom out here, you guys will see that. So kind of right here at these lows, roughly about June, July, and then boom, we took off to the upside. So that's pretty much what is reflecting here on this chart. So Bitcoin on the Google Trends on the 5-year time frame is only at a 22. Again, these cycle peaks over here were way higher than this. Even when Bitcoin was at 30,000 and going back up to 69,000, it was still at a 75, and we're currently only at a 22, which tells me once again one of two things. Number one, Bitcoin's all-time high is not yet here, and number two, we are still early in this crypto bull run. So fear and greed index, it's amazing just how lightning fast we went from extreme fear to extreme greed on this thing. It's kind of insane, actually. So literally 2 weeks. So you guys can see we were just down here at a 30 or 29 on July 5th, and as of July 22nd, we're back up here at a 70. So kind of insane on the max time frame for the crypto fear and greed index. But again, once we get to like these ridiculous highs up here, somewhere in this 80 to 90 range, maybe even at a 70, that's a clear warning sign that maybe we might get a pullback. But I'm not going to say this cycle is different. I don't know if this cycle is different or not. It looks different, but that's what they say every cycle, that this time is different, but it's never really been different. So in my mind, one of two things could happen. Either Bitcoin's going to hit its all-time high sooner than most people expect, or what will probably happen is, well, there's a second alternative. So the second alternative is that Bitcoin money flows from Bitcoin into altcoins. Early on, we see kind of like a DeFi summer, which I'll get into here in a minute when we get on the charts. And the third alternative is that Bitcoin does go to new all-time highs and Ethereum and altcoins go with it. And then the Fed cuts rates and we see some kind of crazy market crash because the yield curve inverts. And then, Trump comes in on January, says, hey, Fed, you need to cut the rates, slam the rates to the floor immediately. You're not going to wait 2 years or we're going to fire you. And then the Fed just, they cut rates immediately and we see some kind of crazy V-shaped recovery like we saw during 2020. That could happen too. That's a third scenario, okay? And in that case, Bitcoin's all-time high does get hit around the cycle time that it's supposed to, which is somewhere between December of this year to roughly about Q1, Q2 of next year, something like that, roughly about Q1 of next year. So MVRV had a little retracement on this. Once again, I will say that we're not even anywhere close to these boxes up here, which tells me that likely this is not the top for Bitcoin. You can see every single time we've hit a cycle peak before, it's always at least touched the lighter pink or dark pink box. Literally every single time, it has never failed. So in my opinion, that does still tell me that we are early on both Bitcoin and the rest of the crypto space. So Bitcoin rainbow chart, we're in the buy zone. Again, I'll pretty much say what I've said before. So you can see all these different peaks do end lower, each cycle peak. So this was outside of the band. This was at the top of the band at the dark red. This was touching roughly about the medium orange and then the light orange. So if we hit, let's say, the yellow, let's say that we hit exactly the middle of the regression band here at roughly about 277,000. Well, okay, maybe that's a little early. Let me kind of try to figure out exactly the time frame that we'd be looking at here. So yeah, that's close enough. So December 2025, maybe right around 290,000. Could be as low as 200,000. So 200, I would say realistically, I'm not sure how accurate these numbers are going to be, but I would say probably somewhere between 150 to 250,000 is definitely a possibility, especially if Trump comes out and says, "Oh yeah, we're going to use like 1% or 2% of all government reserves or all U.S. dollars backed by Bitcoin or treasury notes backed by Bitcoin," or some crazy thing like that. So, Newpol chart. You guys can see that we're pretty overextended here. Again, it wouldn't shock me if we had some kind of roll off temporarily in Bitcoin for some kind of DeFi summer. Again, the spot Ether ETFs are trading this week. So that wouldn't shock me at all. And if that does happen, we'll see a pullback in this. Theoretically, usually when we get pretty close to this euphoria greed up here or into it, that's usually the sign of some kind of top in the markets. Whoops, I didn't mean to do that. So, well, whatever the case, pretty much every single time it's gotten either in the euphoria greed zone or close to it, it has been some kind of cycle peak. So Pi cycle top indicator, two things to point out here. Number one, we did get below the yellow band. Usually when we get below it during a bull market, it does always go back above it and come back up to the green band. You guys can see that here. So there's usually some kind of consolidation between the two before it breaks out above the green band. And we see it here too. So During the time of the retesting in between the bands, it does occasionally come below this bottom band here, and also back here during this bull market. So the two things I want to point out here is when we get it back above the yellow band, which I do believe is going to happen at this point, we're looking for it to go up and touch the green band again, which at this point is 96,000. So by the time it even gets there, we could be seeing $100,000 Bitcoin. But the thing that I want to point out here that matters the most is once we get above the green band, that's when we see the most parabolic move for Bitcoin. Usually when we get above this green band, that signals the rocket ship phase for the Bitcoin price. We saw it here in 2020 and 2021, here in 2017, and back here during 2013, and again during, well, basically early 2013. You can see literally every single time this got above the green band, it just absolutely flew off the handles and went basically completely bonkers. I mean, I don't know how aggressive it's going to be to the upside this time, but obviously a lot more money flow coming into Bitcoin and into the crypto space would be needed to push this thing up like a rocket ship this time around. Because as you guys know, the bigger an asset gets and the market cap for anything gets, the more money is required to push it up. That's just basic math 101. So in order to know for sure that a cycle peak has come into play, we need to see the two lines at least touch and or converge, and that will signal to us that the top is in, and we have not seen that yet. So we're not even at above the yellow band yet. So that's that. Now we'll go into the charts. So I'll go over the price of Bitcoin here in a minute, but going back to the Bitcoin Nashville conference and the spot Ether ETFs. So something I want to point out here that's a possibility. I'm actually going to pull up two charts here. So give me a second. I'm going to pull up both the Bitcoin dominance and Bitcoin because I want to show you guys this. Okay, actually, you know what? I forgot I don't have the drawings on this chart, so we'll just do them one at a time. So never mind that. Sorry about that, y'all. So basically, pretty much what we're seeing here, okay, you can see the price of Bitcoin kind of going up and down and sideways, right? During July, roughly about June, all the way to October of 2020 before we really blasted off to the upside, okay? So there's a reason why I point this out. I'm going to go back on the charts and show you guys. So you guys can see that basically we saw a slight sell-off in the Bitcoin dominance here, leading up to Bitcoin's pullback, as you guys saw in the previous chart, which means that we had money flow into altcoins for what was known at that time as DeFi summer of 2020. And then Bitcoin took over again towards the end of the year. That's when the Bitcoin dominance rose. And Bitcoin's price went to all-time highs. And then we saw the true alt season after that, okay? So I suspect we might see some kind of like first wave of alts going to highs basically this week as a result of the spot Ether ETFs being traded. And then maybe a little bit later on in the year, we see Bitcoin take back the dominance, move it to its new all-time highs right around the scheduled time at roughly around the end of the year. And then early into next year, around the start of Q1 to, I would say, probably about the middle of Q2, we'll see some kind of major capitulation on the Bitcoin dominance. And then we'll see a massive alt season, like a true actual alt season where altcoins just go absolutely bonkers. You're talking like 10, 20, 50, 100, 1,000 X's. If you think it's not possible for these coins to do that, you have not been in the crypto space long enough. So the thing I want to point out here is that we did see some kind of roll off here. So a sideways chop and a sell off right around that July, August timeframe this time last cycle. Okay. So this was the halving year, almost exactly 4 years ago. You can see it's currently July 2024. This was in July of 2020. And we saw a big sell off for a couple of months. And we had like a mini alt season in 2020 before Bitcoin smashed to all-time highs. That could be something we're about to see right now, okay? So the chart pattern is not exactly the same again, but we are seeing some kind of sideways chop here for a long period of time. So we might get like maybe a small sell-off down to this support here in July and August. and then a push back up into this resistance when Bitcoin goes to all-time highs. And then we see a massive sell-off all the way down here to roughly about the 38 to 40% dominance for altcoins going into Q1 to Q2 of next year. That's kind of what I'm seeing on the Bitcoin dominance chart. So Bitcoin itself. Okay, so there's a couple things I want to point out here. So I'm going to start on the smaller time frames. So we'll go down to the 4-hourly time frame. The reason why we got rid of Bitcoin and we only have like a small amount of Ethereum, the most amount of money we have is in altcoins, is again because alts are going to do the biggest returns. The smaller the market cap, the bigger the returns. Again, Ethereum and Bitcoin's market cap is huge, which means it's only going to go up so much. If I'll put it to you like this. Basically, a market cap of something that has only $1 billion in it is going to go up a lot more than something that has $1 trillion in it. Okay? It's very simple. For a $1 trillion market cap to do a 10x would require a $9 trillion investment. For a $1 billion market cap to do a 10x would only require a $9 billion investment, which is still a lot of money. But when you consider the crypto space as a whole is worth like 2.5 trillion, it's not really that much. So 4-hourly time frame here, you guys can see we got this golden cross back here. We did get oversold. It wasn't an immediate turnaround, although this was actually the low back here. You can see we got a low down here too. I kind of got to zoom out to actually show you this. So we got oops, I didn't mean to do that. So we got this low, and then we got this higher low on the RSI, which indicates bullish divergence while we were getting lower lows on the price of Bitcoin. And it did turn around pretty quick and then went back up. So basically from the time of the golden cross, which is our swing trading indicator here, if you had just put $1,000 in Bitcoin right at the golden cross and rode it all the way to the current price, you'd be up $180 or about 18%. So you can see that the method that we use for swing trading does actually work. And this was actually the signal to go bullish. So I'm glad that we started buying back then. So now going over the daily time frame, this was where we got the bullish divergence. So, low and then a lower low down here. And of course, we stayed within the bull flag, and then a low and a higher low, which indicates bullish divergence. And it did play out, and we're just kind of chopping around in the flag. So we need to get outside of the flag and above it to go bullish. Right, so I almost forgot here. So on the daily time frame, we do have currently a double golden cross. We're about to get a triple golden cross. That confirms the move up. Last time we had one of these was way back here in May, so it's been a couple of months. And then before that, as you guys can see way back here, these things are pretty rare. So January of 2024, so this would only be the third one that we've had on the daily time frame this year. Again, it's a very bullish indicator. It's the higher up in the time frames you go, the more rare this becomes. So weekly time frame, everything is looking good. I want to point out here that this candle that we just got is still also above these previous all-time high candles on the weekly. As you can see here, the previous weekly close high in the previous cycle was 65,000. This candle close is 68,000. So it looks very bullish, okay? So if we can get a close above 69,000 with a candle close or higher, again, these are wicks, so these don't count. I'm looking for a body close. If we get that on the daily, weekly, or bi-weekly time frame, I would say that that's liftoff. We're definitely going to be going to the moon after that. I mean, not a guarantee, but obviously that significantly increases the chances of actually moonshotting. So the 2-week time frame, pretty much what I'm looking for here on the 2-week time frame is we need to get some kind of candle close above. You can see these candle tops right here above 69,360. If we get a close above that of any kind, in my mind, that does signal that we are likely going higher, especially if we get outside of this flag. Again, the flag target is all the way up here. It's actually quite hard to see. So all the way up here at $125,000 per Bitcoin. Again, I do think that's possible. I don't know if we're going to see it before the end of the year, but we'll just have to wait and see on that one. So the last thing I want to go over here is the monthly time frame. So you can see we kind of had these inside bars here. Well, if we get a monthly close, even where we're at now, that's considered to be bullish. So the previous candle tops were at 67,500. Currently, we are at 68,200. If we get anything above 67,500 to 71,300, anything above that on the monthly time frame, that in my mind spells basically new all-time highs, especially if we get above here at 71,300. And the last thing I want to point out here is, let's just go down real quick so you guys can see this. I want to remind everybody of the bigger picture here. So this is what truly matters, okay? This has been true for a long time. So we have one yearly red candle, okay, then two green ones. So the actual pattern started here. So we had a bear market year, 3 bull market years, a bear market year, 3 bull market years, a bear market year, and we're currently in our second bull market year. And on the yearly time frame, we are well above the previous yearly close, which the yearly close in this case was at 46,700. So we still have 5 more months to go on this, but I'm pretty confident it's going to close well above there. So yeah, just keep a lookout on the news for what Trump has to say at the Bitcoin Nashville conference. Keep an eye out for the spot Ether ETFs being traded, which ones are being traded, the money inflows, outflows, stuff like that in regards to it. And if you guys have time, we'll update you as we can, but if you have time, also keep a close eye on the Bitcoin dominance, because if that sells off, a lot of these grayscale trusts that are altcoin related and the actual altcoins themselves are likely going to start popping off pretty hard. And when I say hard, I mean probably much more so than what we saw between January to March of this year. I think that was quite small in terms of an alt season compared to what we usually see. So I'm just going to go on a limb here and say that I think that the altcoin pop-offs that we saw earlier in the year was kind of just a warm-up for the alts. I don't think it's really actually gotten serious yet. So anyways, hope you all enjoyed this content. Please like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see y'all later. Peace.